I was cursed with a bisexual child. Before you judge me, please hear me out first. My name is Katie, and I'm a mother of a 17-year-old boy named Carter. Carter has always been my darling angel, my baby boy, and I love him dearly. My husband David is also very kind, and we are a very happy family. The reason I have titled my story as such was because I wasn't always this way. Growing up, my parents, elder sister, and I were all part of a very conservative church. We were like some radical version of Christianity. This church was very cruel to anybody who didn't fit our standard of living, and would verbally and sometimes physically target those outsiders in our small community. My mom and dad were very much in line with the church's view, and because I saw my parents do it, I was too. My elder sister Rose wasn't. She spoke up against my parents and the church multiple times and was ostracized from the church because of it. Our parents began to treat her harshly, and kids at school would bully her, including me. When it came out she was a lesbian, our parents totally disowned her and kicked her out. She ended up staying with one of her friends, another freak that the church didn't like. She had a single mom since her dad was a deadbeat, and the church always said to serve your husband. I would pick on Rose at school, despite being younger, but my sister never retaliated. I remember it would always peeve me off that she just ignored me. She would either just keep walking or shrug and change directions. I was a classic bully. I wanted a reaction, so, in a desperate attempt to get one, I targeted her very close friend, who turned out to be her girlfriend. She caught me in the act of verbally assaulted her and got between us. I'll never forget the words my sister said, "Mom and Dad got me because they acted like this. God is going to punish you for behaving like this. He'll give you a cursed or broken child so you can atone for your sins. Just you wait and see." Then she walked away, dragging her partner behind her. I never forgot those words. I was too stunned. I told my parents what she said when I got home, and they just prayed away whatever sinful aura my sister had piled onto my soul. I never really picked on Rose after that. Her and her girlfriend moved away, and from what I hear and see on social media, live a very fulfilling life. I ended up leaving the town for college and met my now husband. He was from a very different culture, but I adore him and he treats me right. When we got married, my parents went on a whole rant at the reception on how God will cleanse and everything our church preached. One of my husband's cousins, Willow, stood up to my parents and poked holes in all their preaching by reciting actual verses from the Bible. Her constantly showing the contradictions in my twisted version of faith made me start to realize how wrong some of our church's beliefs were. My parents demanded respect, and Willow told them, "You need to earn respect before you get it." It was so badass. She wore her hair in a shaggy pixie cut and was in a deep purple pantsuit. My parents began screeching, "She must be a devil," and she just laughed in their faces and said, "The only devils in here are you two freaks." My parents left shortly after. I apologized to Willow and all our guests for my parents' behavior, and Willow actually became really close with me. Turns out she's asexual and studied religion in college. She was literally the perfect opponent to humble my parents. A few months later, I got pregnant with Carter. I was so happy to be a mom, and my parents were so excited that one of us turned out right and did her duty and a woman. During my pregnancy, I began to realize even more how toxic my parents were and how their views were backwards and wrong. I didn't want Carter growing up around that, so I began to distance myself from my parents. I got in contact with Rose and tried to make amends, but she said as long as I'm still in contact with our parents, she can't be in my life. So I decided to give my parents an ultimatum. They leave the church or I leave them. Long story short, I chose to cut them off. Carter was born healthy and surrounded by love. Rose and Willow are great friends, and Rose's girlfriend Julia also is the best baker I've ever met. David's family also love Carter and my sister, so it's like we never needed my parents anyway. Yesterday, Rose sent me a text that she was in town and was going to stop by. I told her that was okay and I tidied up the house for her arrival. Willow and my in-laws also had stopped by, and everybody helped clean the house. When she finally got there, I saw that Julia had also came along and was carrying a cake. She needed to put it in the fridge, so I cleared a spot in the fridge for it. Everybody talked in the living room until Carter got home with his best friend, Angelo. Now, I had seen the way Carter looked at Angelo. It was the same way Rose looked at Julia in high school. I had a long-standing suspicion that the two were more than friends, but it was confirmed when Julia brought out the cake, gave it to Carter, and opened it up to me. The cake was blue, purple, and pink, and with white letters spelled, "Surprise, I'm bi." I was so happy for Carter, immediately yelling for David to go grab some a knife, forks, and plates. Carter cut the cake and distributed it, and the whole mini-party seemed to be going well. Rose came and sat by me, eating a bite of cake before saying, "I told you so." I chuckled and ate a bite of my cake, very happy to be cursed with bisexual child.